All right, what's up, guys? How we doing? So today, hopefully, this is going to be a short one because I unfortunately just went and saw Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare, and man, I really do regret it. I'm gonna be honest. It's a waste of time, really, spending your hard-earned money on it. It's really tough. It's a tough pill to swallow while I'm sitting there watching this movie. So hopefully if you were planning on going to see this movie, I mean, if you've even heard of this movie is coming out this week for only 2 or 3 days, I believe, I would be very shocked if you've heard of it. But if you have and you were like, hey, maybe I'll go and see this movie, maybe you'll watch this review and that will stop you and save you 15 to 20 bucks. I mean, depending on how much popcorn or concessions you get. So this movie is directed by Scott Chambers and also written by Scott Chambers and Reese Freight Waterfield. And if those names kind of sound a little familiar to you, it's because they are the team who did the Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, both of them. And they've also started this new childhood horror universe called the Pooniverse. I mean, it's fucking crazy, dude. I don't know how these movies get funded. And the fact that this is only the third installment in countless, I don't know how many there's going to be. I know there's Bambi, I can't even think off the top of my head because it's just not worth it. So basically we have Wendy Darling, played by Maiden Placido, who is pretty much goes out on an attempt to rescue her brother Michael from the evil Peter Pan, played by Martin Portlock. Peter Pan in this movie basically, I think they're going for the slasher, type of vibe, of course, much like how the first two Winnie the Poohs are. But it doesn't feel like it, man. It's just a huge failure, in my opinion. They do not succeed on that really in any way, maybe besides the first scene. I'll talk about that in a little bit, but the first scene was probably the best part, maybe. So he's kidnapping all these little children, promising them to make their life better and take them to Neverland where there's no parents, you don't sleep, there's no bedtime, all that lore stuff from, the Peter Pan that everyone usually knows is here, but it's just weird, man. I mean, he has this creepy little van that says Neverland on it, and that's what he kidnaps all the children in. But yeah, we all know he ain't taking them to Neverland. Now, the opening scene is probably, like I said, the best part of the movie. It's not really, the rest of the movie is cheap. It's just not good. They don't know what they're trying to do. A lot of the movie is trying to be slasher. A lot of it's also trying to be like a jump scare horror movie, like something like a shitty Blumhouse movie would be. There's a scene where he kidnaps Michael and he takes him back to his, I think it's like an abandoned house or something. It's fucking run down. It looks terrible. It's disgusting. But they try to use Marco Polo as this device to induce tension, to make you, feel like you're on the edge of your seat, and it just fails completely. It just doesn't work. The jump scares are so bad in this movie, but back to the first scene, it's a little creepy. It's a little, scary. This kid goes to a circus where Peter Pan's performing, and he's doing, I don't know, is it a mime or something? I don't know. It was weird. But he gives this little kid this balloon, and then later we stepped, to later in the night, where this kid's back at home with his mom. He's taking a nap or whatever. His mom goes to take a shower, and for some reason they have this underground tunnel or basement or something below their house. I don't know, because Peter Pan creeps out of this trap door in the ground, and he's pulls himself up, and he's still wearing his makeup. It's a little scary. I was surprised. It kind of reminded me of that scene from the Evil Dead remake where she's, when she's possessed, they throw her down in the basement in that trap door, and she's just peeking her head up, trying to, get out, making that scary face. So I didn't mind that as much as I thought I would. And then somehow he gets in the house, and the way that he kills the mom is pretty reminiscent of Terrifier 2, one specific scene. It doesn't really go that far, obviously, or show you as much. The kill that he does do is definitely reminiscent of that. I mean, I would be shocked if that's not where he got the inspiration from, but it's pretty gnarly. And after that first scene, I was like, okay, surprised me a little bit. I was like, maybe this isn't going to be as bad as I thought, or as bad as both Winnie the Poohs. It's slightly better maybe than both of those. It's definitely better than the first Winnie the Pooh, but it's just the same, man. It's just cheap directing, cheap writing. The script is terrible. The acting is god awful, man. Some of this dialogue too is just so weird. I will say the actual look of the film isn't terrible. It's not groundbreaking cinematography or anything, but it looks like it has a pretty decent budget. You know, the lighting's not terrible. It definitely looks better than the first Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey, which is a positive, I guess. But it really just feels like Scott Chambers and Reese Frake Waterfield and everyone who's involved with all these movies, all the new universe, it just seems like they're just trying to cash in on, you know, all this becoming public domain. The fact that it kind of intrigues you because all these childhood characters becoming evil and just murdering people. It's an intriguing concept, but it's just, the movies are just not good, like, at all. And then we have Tinkerbell in this movie, who is played by Kit Green, and I just, I don't know what they're trying to do, man. She looks like this cracked out, you know, just homeless person. And then when we find out who she actually is, it's just like, what the fuck, dude? Like, what are you trying to do with this movie? I just don't get it. Like, Peter Pan is seen injecting himself with pixie dust. I just read this on IMDb. It says it in the synopsis on IMDb, but they're just doing drugs the whole time. They're just literally high all the time. So I don't know if Neverland, and obviously all that isn't going to be real in this movie. If I'm spoiling that, whatever. You're not going to see it anyways, or I hope you don't. But if Neverland's not real and they're injecting themselves with just drugs, then why are there other creatures in the Winnie the Pooh movies, like Owl or Tigger? Why are that fantasy element true? But then Neverland, I mean, they don't ever tell us for sure if Neverland's not real or not, but if the pixie dust isn't real, I don't know, dude. It's just hard to wrap my mind around. Maybe I'm missing something, but it's honestly not worth even trying to figure out what the fuck these guys are doing. And the sad part is, I'm probably going to see all the other ones. You know, I'm going to see Bambi, whatever else they have coming out. I'm going to see them. They're going to take my money, unfortunately, but I really hope they don't take yours. And another thing that was really weird was Peter Pan in this movie. He kind of talked like the joke, like Heath Ledger's the Joker. He was like trying to do this like Heath Ledger, kind of mimicking him, copying him, with just his like inflection in his voice. He's not terrible, I wouldn't say. I mean, he is kind of creepy in some parts, but I don't know. It was weird just watching him kind of try to reenact what Heath Ledger did. I don't know, man. It was a very strange viewing, you know. The ending, I will say this, the last like 10 minutes or so, it's also not terrible. There's another pretty decent kill in it. These guys are like obsessed with breaking bones, like breaking your arms and just mangling them, breaking your legs, just completely snapping your bones, because they've done that, I think, at least 2 or 3 times in these 3 movies. You know, it definitely gets you to wince, and then the kill that is at the end of this movie it's pretty fucked up. And the one last thing I will say, there's no more CGI blood that I noticed. A lot of it's practical effects, which is a huge, huge upgrade on the other 2 movies, because even just with Tigger's tail in Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2, it's just such bad CGI, and all the blood is terrible. No CGI blood in this movie, at least from what I noticed, so that's going to give it a few points, but it's not going to save this movie without a doubt. And this movie was just way too long, man. It could have been cut down by 20 minutes at least, just to save us some grief. But I mean, overall, guys, please do not go and see this movie, you know, unless you want to torture yourself. Lazy writing, terrible acting once again. A couple decent kills, but a lot of them are also pretty fucking weak. He just uses a knife. Mediocre directing, and it's just an all-around very strange, weird film. So yeah, those are just my thoughts, guys. I don't want to think too hard about this movie anymore or how I felt about it. I just want this movie erased from my memory, literally forever. So I'm going to give this movie an abysmal 3 out of 10. But as always, you know, I appreciate you guys watching. Like, subscribe, comment. Watch some of my other videos. I just dropped a, review with my brother of A Complete Unknown. But as always, my name is Zach, and I will see you on the next one.